What's up, guys? Welcome to Bleav in Rams. Erin Coscarelli back with you. Aaron Coscarelli back with you alongside my co-host Tyler Dragon of USA Today. So much to get to. Has it been over a week? Maybe just about a week because I needed to catch you up on phase 3, final OTAs. Team is going to head to Maui camp. Partnered with Hawaii Tourism. And there's so much to talk to because the media was waiting for Davante Adams to speak last week. You didn't get to get him. And he said he spoke for over 9 minutes and so many great topics were discussed, comparisons to Matthew Stafford, what it's like in the building led by Sean McVay. And he kind of compared it to another place that he was at, saying it was a dark cloud. I wonder which team he was referring to. But so much to get to as we are now, early June, inching closer and closer to the season. Ty, what's going on? How are you?
I'm doing good, and thank you for sending me all those Davante Adams clips. I saw the press conference, read the transcripts, and I was waiting for him last week. Wasn't able to get him last week, but I'm glad he spoke to the media this week, and he certainly had a lot to say, as you alluded to.
Yeah, let's break that down. Let's sort of dig into, and you have a great article that's up on USA Today. Check it out, written by Tyler Dragon. Like I said, he spoke for 9 minutes. I got to go to practice, an amazing one-handed grab by Cam Kitchens, and it just seemed kind of business as usual. Young team. Sean McVay spoke before practice. He was asked about Jaire Alexander and Jalen Ramsey. Both kind of answers seem to suggest we're not going to see them on the team. What was your sort of deep dive read between the tea leaves with what Coach McVay said when you read the transcripts?
Yeah, it's kind of consistent with what he has been saying all offseason. I mean, as far as Jalen Ramsey, if the price was right, they could kick the tires with Ramsey. But, at this point, when you look at their personnel, when you look at how young they are at the position and emerging, Ramsey doesn't really make a lot of sense. Or Jaire Alexander. Now, don't get me wrong. Jaire Alexander is still in his prime. I can't really say Ramsey's in his prime, although he's still a very good player. And Alexander is probably still a number one type cornerback in the NFL. So whatever team he's on he's going to make the team better because he's that number one cornerback that a lot of teams desperately need. And the Rams as well. But I could understand why Sean McVay and Les Snead and company are electing to stay pat for now at the cornerback position because they like their young emerging talent across the board. And then when it comes to Jalen Ramsey, at this point of his career, he's kind of that star, kind of safety type slot guy where he kind of roams around in the secondary, lines up close to the line of scrimmage or at that defensive back safety spot. And, you kind of use him as a roamer. And I don't believe the Rams defense is necessarily a fit for that right now. And just because of what they have around them talent-wise. Now, that can change by the end of this podcast. That can change by the end of this week. But based on what Sean McVay has said throughout this offseason, I just don't see the Rams signing either of them.
Yeah. It seemed like there wasn't a lot of progress with regards to, I don't know, big interest in either of those guys. And it's interesting, as you were answering, I almost kind of thought, I wonder if having a big name like a Jalen Ramsey can actually be, this is going to sound weird, but a detriment to the chemistry of a young group that is trying to build. I'm just saying, I don't know. I wonder if there's a part of that Sean McVay, who was getting glowing reviews from Davante Adams, We will get to Davante in a moment. But Sean McVay seems to be a true players coach and navigating so many different personalities. Adding a Jalen might actually kind of impair the cohesiveness and the chemistry. But again, we don't know what's going on behind closed doors. And it just seems like the likelihood of a Jalen Rams reunion is becoming less and less likely.
Yeah, and you make a good point, Aaron. I mean, when you look at Kendricks and whether it's Witherspoon or Williams, these are guys that are still relatively young in their careers, but in their emerging type talents. And if you put Ramsey in that group, yes, he can be a veteran leader, but does that shake up the chemistry? And where does he play? Does he play at either one of the safety spots? They got Cam Curl last year in free agency. I mean, Cam Kitchens played pretty good. Quinn Lake has played well. So where do you put Ramsey? And at this point in Ramsey's career, yes, he's still a good player, but is he that much of an upgrade over what you already have?
Yep. All good points. And again, if we are going to read into what Sean McVay said, it just seems like he's seemingly putting less and less fuel in the fire with regards to the future reunion of Jalen and the Rams. An interesting thing that did come up before, again, we get to Davante, Kyren Williams. He did get asked about any progress being made with Kyren Williams, and he did this last time when I was there, and he was asked about Kyren Williams and the progression of his contract. He tipped his cap to the communication of Kyren's agent, of course, agent superstar Drew Rosenhaus, saying, quote, he's been great to work with. And one of the things he did say with regards to Kyren is that he loves that he's been there, that he's been leading and doing exactly what Kyren does. So we're pleased to see that there's an opportunity, good progress, nothing to report as far as the deal is right now. But that's kind of, it seems like Kyren should be doing that anyways. That was always sort of the big question mark with regards to Aaron Rodgers going to the Steelers so late. While it's not mandatory, wanting to get into a building that would be new and meet the young players, it's suggested that he wasn't hungry or as invested. And so of course, coach tipped his hat to seeing what Kyren is doing amidst the what could be not always easy negotiations with regards to your contract, right?
Yeah, and the props to Kyren, because when he looks across, his running back peers, there are a lot of running backs there are getting paid this offseason. Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley. Then there on the other side, you have James Cook, who's in that same situation with the Bills, who still is looking for a long-term contract. And for Kyren Williams, I mean, it'll behoove him to be at camp, because the Rams drafted a running back last year who a lot of people thought was going to be even more of a playmaker than he was in Blake Corum. So if you're missing out on practices, and now Blake Corum is getting these reps with the first team and getting acclimated with better with the Rams offensive system and Stafford. I mean, that means the running back, he can be nipping at your heels with the starting spot. So Kyren Williams is doing the best thing at being at, the Rams practices. And you would hope that he can get a contract finalized, because running backs now, it seems like the trend, before they were being devalued, but now people are recognizing that they are valued members on NFL rosters. And you can see by the amount of running backs that have gotten paid the past few seasons.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. Very good point with the fact that he can look elsewhere, and nothing stifles your joy than comparing yourself to other people.
The block is hot over there.
I know. Do you hear that? I'm going to close this because I think it's making some noise.
It's okay. It's natural noise. Unfortunately,
The elements
we
here.
know
Living in
there's a lot
LA.
going on in Los Angeles right now. Seems like there's
Yeah.
always a lot going on in Los Angeles. So
Yeah.
it's par for course, Aaron.
Sorry, folks. It's just proof that I am a Los Angelino and sirens will drive by. Okay, so we touched base on Kyren. Coach is expecting a full attendance minus some excused absences, potentially for weddings or other such things. And it just seems like the team, and again, I keep teasing that we're going to get to Davante because it's so cool what he ended up saying. And I want to dig even deeper with what Davante said about coach. But again, this feels like them going to Hawaii, taking their mini camp to Hawaii, calling it Maui camp. They're partnering with Hawaii tourism. It just seems like the whole goal, as what I had been hearing when I was there, is just all about team bonding and building connections. And one of the things that Davante said was he'd never experienced a place where like a punter is hanging out with a linebacker, and just even how much it's impacted him as the 6-time Pro Bowler with so many years in the NFL. He really seemed to feel like LA is such a, he called it like a happy place. There was no looming dark cloud hanging over it. What did you make of those responses? And were you surprised he said that, knowing, did you feel like he was essentially kind of like taking not a jab, but just suggesting that he had been at places that the team around wasn't as healthy, Raiders, Jets, etc.?
Well, that's the ultimate sign of respect for Sean McVay and the Rams. I mean, Davante even talked about how Sean McVay had a video montage trying to recruit him to Los Angeles, and then he showed video highlights of Davante to the whole team during a team meeting. And I mean, the Rams atmosphere, I mean, who could not love being in Los Angeles? I mean, the weather's nice, sunshine, beaches, palm trees, despite what you hear in the news every now and then, but it is still a nice place. But yeah, in all seriousness, I mean, he called it like a college type atmosphere. Like you said, with the punters talking to the linebackers and kickers talking to the quarterbacks. And that is important for a player like Davante, because when you look at the course of Davante Adams' career, I mean, he played with Aaron Rodgers for 8 seasons in Green Bay. He got very accustomed to him. Rodgers is one of his good friends. And then he requested to be traded to the Raiders to play with his his college teammate and Derek Carr. And it's not a surprise once Carr got released and went to the New Orleans Saints, things kind of deteriorated in Las Vegas with Davante Adams and the Raiders. And then he went back to the Jets to be back with his teammate in Aaron Rodgers. So he's accustomed to playing with quarterbacks who are his friend, who make him feel comfortable. And based off what he said at the press conference, this week, he's comfortable in Los Angeles with Sean McVay, with Stafford, with Puka Nacua, who he's building a relationship in the field with. And then that's all positive news, because yes, he did mention a dark cloud over, the past few years with the places he's been. And really it has been. I mean, the Raiders ended bad.
Right.
The Jets was a disastrous campaign. So, I mean, he's had a lot for the past, couple of years, he's had bad, situations, bad environments. And so far, so good in Los Angeles, where he's in a good atmosphere. He mentioned the aura around the team has been great. And you would hope so, because it's only June. There's still a lot of time left throughout the course of the season. and then they're going to Hawaii. Who's not in a good mood on the way to Hawaii?
I mean, yeah.
I would be on a great mood.
What's not to like? And that's the truth of the matter. And, it's interesting because we'll get to the other part of the interesting Davante comments that he made. He was asked to compare Stafford and Rodgers, who were both in the same division and both, future Hall of Famers. And he kind of pushed back a little bit, and I'll get into that in a moment. But I want to ask you this question because what Davante said, and now being with the Rams and covering them and being at the draft and being on site as much as I've been and interviewing Coach McVay, and asking other media members to describe how they have felt in terms of their comfortability within the facility. And every single person has said the same thing about Davante. It's a great working environment. Sean McVay is so easy to work with. It's a beat writer said that Detroit came last year and asked this particular person, is it really this great? And that this person said, yeah, it's really this great. For you, what do you feel like is the most important part? And what is it that Sean McVay is doing other than showing Davante tape and recruiting him in a way that is, and the fact that he's just a great coach, what is it you think that's so impactful when he says it is a positive working environment?
Well, one, Sean McVay is a player's coach. He played football in high school and in college. And so he understands how it is to be an athlete and what athletes go through. And he's a good communicator. He communicates not only with the coaching staff, obviously, but with the players. And he's honest. He's open. It's an open door policy from what I've always heard from Sean McVay. I mean, and even if you've had the luxury to meet him, he's a cool guy.
He's super
Seems like
cool.
a guy you would want to have drinks with at a bar or something. I mean,
he says your name back, and he always takes the time to answer. He's super gregarious.
Yeah. He's just a good guy, and we all know he's a very, very good head coach, a Super Bowl winning head coach. And that's one thing that's missing on Davante Adams' resume. Davante Adams has accomplished everything as an NFL wide receiver, the Pro Bowls, the All Pros, assortment of records. But that Super Bowl title is eluding from his resume. And when you look at, he's 32 years old. He's probably at the tail end of his career. Who knows how many years he has left. He wants to be on a Super Bowl contender, and he sees that the Rams had the eventual Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles on the brink last season in Philadelphia in inclement weather. And perhaps if they had Davante Adams, that could have been the difference. So if they're in that same type of situation this coming season, maybe Davante Adams is the type of player that can get him over the hump. And essentially, let's be real, the Rams replaced Cooper Kupp with Davante Adams.
Yeah.
And Cooper Kupp, yes, he's one of the Rams' all-time best receivers. But when you look at what Cooper Kupp has done the past few years, especially since that Super Bowl title, a lot of injuries have taken a toll on his body, especially those lower extremity injuries, the soft tissue injuries. And that takes a toll on anybody's body. And he's not the receiver he once was during that Super Bowl winning season. And Davante Adams serves as an upgrade. He's a better route runner. He's quicker. He's faster. And so the Rams are banking on the fact that they have an upgrade at receiver over Cooper Kupp and Davante Adams.
Well, and in many ways, potentially an upgrade at quarterback, because he was asked in so many ways to compare Stafford to Rodgers. And he had actually said, he gets that question. He said maybe 20 times from various people, quote. He kind of specified, okay, so the question was asked, on the difference from catching passes from Rodgers and Stafford. And then he quickly kind of said, do one or the other throw harder? And then he kind of brought in, he did a very good job sort of sidestepping, because I was, you never want to put your foot in your mouth. You're a wide receiver. You're still, taking calls from Rodgers. You don't want to insult your old regime. You don't want to insult the new guy. One of the things that I noticed, Davante's very, thoughtful and well-spoken, had so many like moments where he took in the question. Just came off like a pro. But I thought it was interesting, and I'm you obviously read the transcript. What did you think when to you, what stood out the most when making that comparison, and what stood out to you the most in terms of what he said overall with his press conference, just in general?
Well, I thought what stood out when he was comparing him is, he basically said that all quarterbacks, they know when to, put zip on the ball, and then when to put touch on the ball. And then, yes, they are different, but they're also similar because of their arm strength. And they use their arm strength to their advantage when necessary, but then they know these short, maybe crossing routes or short, any type of, routes, they can put some touch on it when required. And he's noticed that from Stafford already. And he's also noticed from Stafford that he has the type of arm that can fit in tight windows, or, throws balls that he doesn't even think that he's open because of the coverage the defenses are playing. But Stafford has the type of cannon that he can fit footballs in there. Same thing with Aaron Rodgers, especially Rodgers in his prime. So I thought that was an interesting, assessment about the quarterbacks. But what really stood out to me was just how at ease and comfortable Davante Adams is being a Ram. And it started from the very beginning when Puka Nacua was changing his number already, even before Davante Adams was coming to LA. And so Davante Adams didn't have to bargain for it or pay for number 17. And then he's in LA, and then now, he's getting chemistry with Stafford. It seems like it's going well. And then he has a stud on the other side, and a Puka Nacua who Adams has been impressed with thus far. So it seems like things are going well. You would hope that they continue to, because this could be the missing piece for the Rams to get over the hump. Now, I don't want to say they're the Super Bowl favorite, but they are a team that is certainly a contender, especially based off of last season, and are the favorites in the NFC West, especially now in June, entering training camp in July.
Yeah. Listen, they have the hardest piece, which is, everybody seems to like each other, and for what we know at this point, get along. And I think when you're mixing veterans and personalities and various elements into the fold, that's not always the case. And like you said, we're in June, and it's like, let's calm down, people. But every time someone speaks at the podium, every time, when we had Terrence Ferguson, the rookie, week 1, everyone just keeps sort of echoing the sentiment of they really deeply respect McVay as a person and as a coach. And it seems to reflect in that when we're there on site and everybody's having a good time. So speaking of good time, we were like, we're going to do 20 minutes, and it's already well past that. But I loved getting to break down, because you weren't at OTAs yesterday, and getting to sort of get your feedback or your take on, reading in between the lines of what both those guys said, knowing that you weren't able to get to see Davante last week. He had an excused absence. I don't know if he was sick. I'm not sure, but it was excused. And now we await Maui camp. So that's coming up. But in the meantime, we'll keep everybody posted. Anything interesting happens, we will virtually cheers our Mai Tais because we're not going to Maui, which we love. And yeah, no, this has been fun. There's so much hype and anticipation for this team with all the news that they've been creating the last couple months since draft. So I think people are going to be excited about what the Rams are going to do on the field. We'll see. We shall see. But thanks, Ty. I appreciate it.
Of course. Enjoy that. You're going to a soccer press conference or something, right? Enjoy that.
We are up against the World Cup in LA, which is a year from today. So I am covering it. I did play soccer back in my heyday. I was on a club team. I know it's hard to believe. I know I don't, come off as the most athletically versatile, but I was decent back in my heyday. I know I'm 100 years old, but yeah. So I'm going to go to that tonight. It's at Fox Studios, and I'll report back. But I will report back. I will get all the tidbits, and of course, we will keep you posted as the Rams look to head to Maui. But that'll do it for us. Aaron Coscarelli, Tyler Dragon of USA Today. Go check out his article. This is Bleav in Rams. Aloha.